pleasure to introduce our songwriter producer panel. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but I want to say this too. You can't build something without great people. And all the folks that are here today, that are panelists, are colleagues of ours. They're here not only because of their status in the music industry, because of their status as people. We only want to surround ourselves with great people. Folks that want to learn from each other, want to network, want to give back, want to give advice. So it is a sincere pleasure to have the men and women here to my left. So we'll start with Corey. Please give yourselves an introduction. Tell us a little bit about, and an applause too, at the end of the introductions. Tell us a little about who you are, what you've done in the music industry, some credits, things like that, and we'll get into some questions.
All right, thank you. My name is Corey Lateef Williams. I'm a singer-songwriter from here in Philadelphia. I work with a couple artists like Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Ryan Leslie, The Roots, Musiq Soulchild, just to name a few. I'm thankful to be a part of this summit. I look forward to hearing your music and to answering whatever questions that you have.
I want to say this too, Lateef is not only a client but a dear friend, and one thing we always talk about is how he never wants to leave Philadelphia full time. He'll travel to do his work, but he's in love with the city.
Definitely. I believe, Philadelphia inspired me, you know what I mean? So it's really important that we give back and just help each other. You know, other cities, they flourish because of the camaraderie and everybody works together. And I feel like, we have the talent here, we just need the networking and things like that. It's why it's so great to have conventions like this, and let's do it. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure. Beastie, Sean Beasley.
My name is Sean Beasley, CEO of Pinup Songwriter Network Event, CEO of Beasley Management. I was the manager behind Superpower, Platinum Hit with 3-6 Mile for You, Lolly Lolly, Pop That Body. I was behind Nate Walker with the hit Blame Me for Jamie Foxx, Trey Songz, Say I was the director of producer management for Troy Carter and Vincent Herbert. And I A&R the Kids Rap Radio for Matthew Knows. And I'm from Philadelphia, and like Lateef said, it's always good to come back to where you know and to bring what you learn back to the place you know to educate the people that you are familiar with to help them get to where you are. And that's why we don't mind doing these events when it comes to Philly, because we want to give the information back to y'all that we gained through our experiences in the business.
The president of our local recording chapter of the Narrows Recording Academy.
Hi, my name is Ivan Barrios. I'm a music producer, songwriter, sometimes engineer. I'm one half of the production songwriting duo Carvin and Ivan. Like he said, I'm also the president of the local Grammy chapter. I work with a variety of artists in the music industry. I'm notable for working with some great Philadelphia artists from the last 10 years. Me and my partner Carvin, we were instrumental in bringing the world Musiq Soulchild. I was a part of A Touch of Jazz Productions, that's DJ Jazzy Jeff's production entity, where we did Jill Scott, Floyd Tree, Glenn Lewis, Michael Jackson's Butterfly was done there when I was there. I've been nominated 3 times for R&B Song of the Year. One song that I did with Lateef was called Teach Me from Musiq Soulchild. Another song we co-wrote with Miguel called Find My Way Back from Jaheim. And I'm really here to share my experiences and my knowledge with this esteemed panel that we have here, and I'm hoping you guys can learn from a lot of our experiences here today.
Renowned producer manager Sarah J, PMP Worldwide.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sarah J, PMP Worldwide, producer site. I'm the corporate account manager over there. I'm also producer manager. I've been doing this for 11 years. Some of my recent placements are with 2 Chainz, Wale, French Montana. I work real closely with MMG. If there's anybody that you'd like to get music to, just let me know. I'm really open to networking and getting music on.
And the mighty, all the way down from North Jersey, Grammy Award-winning Brent Colatalo.
Yeah, Brent Colatalo, mainly worked with Kanye, Rick Ross, Jay-Z. Been doing it for about 10 years. Producer, musician, kind of jack of all trades. Worked on over 15 gold platinum records, 6 Grammy awards. Looking forward to hopefully giving you guys some advice and listen to some great music.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for Karen. So, question from the audience. How many producers do we have here? How many songwriters? And if you're making music and beats, you're a songwriter, so don't discredit yourself, okay? How many managers? How many executives as far as owning your own record company, publishing company, something of that nature? Okay, very good. So let's start with the creative process. This is very much a creative process panel. Talk to
Under someone that has valuable experiences and you have an accomplished set of skills as an engineer or marketing or video editing or something of that nature, leverage that against the knowledge you can get, by being a part of that situation, because in the long run, it'll prove more valuable to what you're trying to do. And if you were trying to do it on your own or trying to get paid, nickels and dimes in the interim. So that's something that I say you have to really trade early on in your career.
Can't agree more than that. Sarah J., talk to us. Chi-Town in the house.
This business is really what you put in is what you're going to get out. So, I mean, just you guys being here today is really important. I mean, to build your network, to, to hear some of the things that we have come across in the industry, and to just, keep a steady, persistent grind, traveling. I just remember, sending beat CDs and overnighting packages like day after day and making trips back and forth to New York and to LA, to the point where I'm developing relationships and people are trusting my ear. And that's really how it all started, you know what I'm saying? Just building the relationship to the point where they trust you and they keep coming back so you don't have to keep chasing, you know what I'm saying? So really your relationships are everything.
Sarah, tell us a little bit about PMP Worldwide.
PMP Worldwide, if you guys aren't familiar with it, is a producer website. It was founded in 2007. It stands for Production Marketplace. You guys could upload 15 tracks to your page, along with the beats per minute, track descriptions, pictures, bios, all your Twitter links.
Okay. Talk to us about this. I mean, you've expressed some success in placements with 2 Chainz and with some of the Maybach Music Group and various artists. How were those relationships developed? And what are some advice you give to the attendees about how to network with people like yourselves and the artist managers, A&Rs to help get those placements?
I really say it came from the music. I mean, just being able to decipher what's hot and weed stuff out that I think that they would like. Like I said, to the point where they keep on coming back for more because they know I'm going to supply them with heat. So it's all about being really realistic, with what you're presenting to these people. I mean, everybody makes beats these days. A lot of people sound the same. A lot of people, imitate what they already hear. Ross and a lot of, Meek's work and stuff like that. They're moving in a new direction. They don't want the same Maybach sound. You got to think 5-10 years ahead. You know what I'm saying? And just keep feeding them with new music, and then you'll see, doors open up for you if you take that approach.
Okay, before we go to Sean, I think you said something that I really believe in. Authenticity, I think and saying what you meaning what you say, your word, is I think something that will carry you further than anything. But what are some mistakes? What are some mistakes people make that strike them out before they get started?
I think being too pushy sometimes can turn people off. A lot of people are on tour. Some people don't even get a chance to check their Gmails. It's sometimes hit or miss situations. So you want to be persistent, but at the same time not pushy. Give people a chance to actually listen to the music. Also make sure everything that you're sending out is copywritten. I can't stress that enough. If you're not familiar with the Library of Congress, definitely do your research. It's all about research and, just making sure that yourself is protected so you don't catch yourself out there.
She said a magic word that's very dear to my heart, that's copyright. And after our listening sessions today, we're going to do a legal nuts and bolts breakdown of the music industry. People have told me after they leave it, they've learned more about the business side of music in an hour and a half than they learned in 4 years of college, for those that went to school. So I'm very excited about sharing all that information with all of you. Sean, talk to us. You are a life changer, and I don't say that facetiously. I mean, I think I know you changed Superpower's life. I know that you were a great assistant with Nate Walker's life. I know the great work you did personally for Vincent Herbert and for Troy. Talk to us about Pen Up. Talk to us about what that's about, how you founded that. And talk to us about what came behind the various placements you worked on.
First, I'm gonna start off with Pen Up. Pen Up is a singer-songwriter network event that I started when I was working with Troy, because managing producers and songwriters, I felt like they wasn't educated enough. So of course you have all these other events that deal with producers. I took latch to writers because that's who I was managing, and I created that event to educate songwriters, because songwriters are the mecca of this business. Without a songwriter, you have no record. And I felt like they wasn't getting respected enough, and they get mistreated. I seen songwriters get mistreated by A&Rs, producers, and I created that event to put panelists to the forefront to educate them. What I did, put big songwriters and little songwriters, because the big songwriters could tell the small songwriters they same struggle, how they made it to their big placements. And that's why I created Pen Up, and I did it with my partner Delaney Douglas, who managed Needles, and he just produced Just the Way You Are for Bruno Mars. And I felt like when I created it, I didn't think how big it could get. And it grew to now I'm on my second year doing it in LA, and I start putting unknown acts on my stage, and the last act I put on there was Carmen. And now Carmen is this big act signed to L.A. Reid, the biggest act off the internet besides Justin Bieber. So that's how I started Pen Up. Like Chris said, I had my struggles with this business. I left Philly, went to Atlanta. Every city you go to is always clicked up. But I went to a club not to party, but to network. And what I learned is that you just can't go to a club to network. You have something about you have to stand out. I wasn't aggressively with getting to know these people. I was gradually getting to know them. And that's what made them respect me who I was, because I stood out. And it was like, not because of who I would say Mr. or Mrs. And it's not saying that you're, like, when you say Mr. or Mrs., a lot of people don't say that. That makes you different from everybody. It shows the respect level that you have for them. And they appreciate people, what that gives them that respect. And they're not doing it just because they reach a certain status. They don't see it or hear it enough. So you being that person to saying that to them, that makes them appreciate you more as a person and getting to know you as what you want them to know you as. If it's an artist, if it's a writer, if it's a producer, if it's a manager, if it's an engineer, that's your gateway of getting to them, and that's how I got to people, and that's how I became who I am.
Well, I'll tell you this too. Donald Trump says, study Regis Philbin. Study Regis Philbin. His personality, things he does. One of the people I say is, study Sean Beasley. I think Sean knows how to make people feel comfortable. It's a natural magnetism to him. So, watch this man. Talk to us. Talk to us about what happened behind Lolly Lolly. Talk to us about the Jamie Foxx placement.
Like, when Lolly Lolly popped that body, like he said, a mentor, I had met Chad Elliott. He was the representative, the A&R rep for Sony with Bow Wow, Amarion, B2K. And I kind of latched onto him. He was like, yo, I like you as a person, so we start talking. So at the time I was working at Bank of America in Atlanta. And I was working with this group, and I met this producer, Superpower. So he sent me this track. He's like, yo, I got this hot track. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So he sent it to me, and I listened to it. And like, you and you and you, it's when you hear a record, it's something that it does to you. And this record did something to me. And I was like, yo, I gotta get it. So I sent it to Chad, because Bow Wow was working on the record. So Bow Wow, they didn't like it for Bow Wow. So at this moment, 3 6 Mafia had a single out with Akon. And I'm working at the bank. The president of Sony and Chad called my phone. So I'm at the branch, ducking under the counter, like, yo, I'm at work, I'll call you back. And this is the president of Sony and Chad calling me. So I wound up getting fired from the bank because I was doing too much of that. right as I got fired, Chad was like, they want this record so bad because they was about to ship their record out to be distributed, to get sold. They stopped the production of the album and put that record on there, and they knocked Akon record out. And something in me, because they was like, can you send us the session files? One thing you know in this business, you don't send your session files to anybody. So what I felt, I'm like, nah, Sony don't want that trouble. I got a lawyer like Chris Kevin, they don't want that trouble. So I sent them the session files. Not even 48 hours, that record hit the internet and radio so fast. How it hit so fast because I negotiated. As a producer, he wrote the record, he produced the record, he sung the hook on that record. So I was like, maybe if I say give them 75%, they wasn't going for it.
Right.
So I had 50 and 75. So I worked in between 50 and 75. So when you know they want this record so bad, I negotiated. I said, I want him in the video. I want his name featured on the record. I want him, when they go on award shows, I want him there. It was branding him as the producer behind this record. And when I got the contract to Chris was like, did you negotiate this? I said, yeah. He's like, good job. And it was like, you had to know about the business for me to get to that negotiation part. And I learned all that by talking to Chris and talking to my mentors and just watching how people was doing business. And that's how I negotiated that record. And how we did blame it. I put Naywalk on tour with Swayze and the Nuts. And we got a call, and it's like, yo, we want this record for Jamie Foxx. Now, this was the first time I seen Bad Business with a record. As a writer, Nate did the whole hook. So the guy that he did it with, that took it to Chris Henderson, said that it was his record. So every writer go through their lesson, and this was one of his lessons. You don't write down on a piece of paper your lyrics to give to someone and tell them, I will give you half, when they haven't wrote nothing. So when he told them that, Breon Prescott took the record and the split sheet into the label. All the splits was wrong. Nate wound up getting 4% of a record that he wrote, which was so bad. So as managers, we fought to get him at least to 7% of a record. Now when you write a hook, that's like 25. He got 7% of Blame It. That was, we said to him, that was on you because you did not listen. You was rushing. You cannot rush. You got to make sure you do proper business. Then when we start winning awards, you see all these names scrolling down the screen and you're like, that's like 11 writers on that record. It was all bad. Then publishing was hold up because T-Pain said, Dream came in and got publishing for him saying, Then that started to hold the record up even more. And with Say-I,
Sean, I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to. Not because we're just
No.
so valuable. Time-wise, we're running towards the end. So here's the great lesson, okay? And we'll talk about this a little more, but if you want to find success in the music industry as a writer or producer, the first thing you have to do is register your copyrights. We'll talk about that. Second thing you need to do is make sure you get a split sheet in place. A split sheet says who wrote, what they wrote, what percentages are claimed, it should total 100%, who the artist is, who the producer is, the date, the name, people's names, like full names, not just like T.O. You get T.O.'s full legal name, address, as much information as possible. You've got to register with ASCAP or BMI or CSEC. We'll talk about that more later, but I don't want to cut you off. In a nutshell, tell us about that, and then we're going to go right into the next panel. But what I want to do is just go down the line, share any contact information that you can share with the crowd, take one or two questions, and we'll get right into the NR panel. Go ahead, Sean.
And like with Say-I, Fabulous came in and wanted more publishing because he felt like without him, it wasn't no CI. And once again, Nate took a hit on that record. And it's so important to get split sheets done. I don't care in the session, before session, when you're dealing in country, they know who's getting publishing of what record. Because before you come in there, all that is worked out. And as a writer or producer, you have to do that. And if you have a manager, let your manager handle that. Let your manager be the bad cop, you be the good cop.
With the split sheets,